Hello and welcome to AzureTracks Microsoft Cloud Series. I'm Andrew Lowes, and we're really amazed at how involved everyone has been with the podcast. With me today, I have my good friend, Ryan McKay. How are you today, Ryan?
I'm doing awesome, Andrew. How are you?
I am fantastic. Absolutely amazing. Very beautiful day today. So we've had a lot of feedback, and one of the things that Ryan and I talk about kind of off cameras, we really enjoy hearing from everybody. So feel free to weigh in the comments on YouTube or send us a tweet. I'm at AzureTracks, and we can reach Ryan at MSCQF. And I think I got the letters in the right order today, right?
Yeah, not bad.
So, typically I'm doing a little bit of work in Azure. I do a lot of migration work, and often it crosses over to Microsoft 365, thus our mixed content video podcast. Mm-hmm. And, Ryan does a lot of the same, especially, we find ourselves working a lot in Azure AD and Exchange Online, in general, Microsoft Cloud security, identity, and communications. So I do a lot of implementation of cloud integrated solutions. That's what's been keeping me busy. Ryan, what have you been up to these days?
Oh, I'm just spending some time doing about the same thing, and also focusing on a little bit of Microsoft training. We'll chat about that in a future episode, but about the same. Cloud transformation, cloud enablement, cloud implementation, whatever you want to call it. But really, the key there is the Microsoft cloud stack being involved in it, whether it be the Azure side or the M365 side, and the fact that they're so interlinked, as you said, is where I spend most of my time.
Yeah. So as you noticed, I'm wearing a very special hat today. So since we record barely, but just in advance of our releases out to the big wide internet world, tonight is the first 2021 Flames game. And as a minor fan, we just want to say welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a little bit of Calgary Flames NHL hockey. So with that, let me get rid of my special ball cap so I feel a little bit more able to think about working items here. So,
yeah, but you know what, that said, on a leisurely, sort of way of thinking, it's good to see sports returning. In the case of the NHL, it's good to see sports returning in their markets. Obviously, they had some challenges with COVID-19, and they had to make some changes and alignment changes in order for this stuff to go off. But it's good to hear. This evening the Flames are playing in Winnipeg. People probably don't know where that is, but that's pretty close to where I'm from.
So up in the land of SpaghettiOs and hockey sticks, eh?
Yeah, take off, eh? So it's very close to my heart that this season with the team in the city that I'm living in now is playing the team that's very in the city that was very close to where I'm from. So there we go.
Exactly. Well, and, I think, we talked about, how do we want to launch our first kind of partnered podcast again for 2021. And we said, you know what, let's talk about just that. 2021, the path ahead. And I think for me, it really resonated in a very positive note because, we were able, despite all of these challenges of 2020, to kind of close the door somewhat gracefully on it. And kind of looking ahead. So, I see a really bright horizon for 2021. There's a lot of really positive things. Certainly in the land of Microsoft Cloud, 2020 was an absolute stellar year. And I think the one quote that really stuck kind of with both of us was, and I'm going to glance at my notes because I want to get the wording right a little bit. It's not that many, but you'd be shocked at what I forget. So... So Satya Nadella said 2021 is the year of teams. And we chatted about that briefly, and we thought, geez, 2020 was quite the year of teams and collaboration. What does that mean for 2021? What do you think about that?
Well, and to dive into the quote a little bit deeper, he's quoted as saying that Teams, I'm reading this from my notes, Teams is on its way to becoming a digital platform as significant as the internet browser or a computer operating system. That's a pretty big gauntlet to throw down. To compare a software product that, we love, Microsoft Teams, to something as significant that we use day in and day out, such as an operating system or an internet browser. Those are pretty keys. I agree. I think this is going to be the year of Teams. I think Microsoft is going to take this platform to the moon and back. And 2020 in and of itself was sort of the proof, the POC, if you will, for the platform. Again, 115 million daily, users approximately of Microsoft Teams in 2020. I foresee that by the end of 2021, that number is going to be significantly higher, as reported by Microsoft. And again, with the the collaborative capabilities of it, I think you're going to see that growth in 2021 for new organizations that are going to, pardon the pun, embrace and adopt. Paul Woods, you owe me a shout out, and go from there.
Well, I think you're right. So you talk about embracing and adopting the cloud, and that's really kind of our thing, right? So it's what we love talking about. We certainly enjoy working in the space and seeing businesses being able to stay agile, stay flexible. And as much as I think we all dislike the saying, thinking kind of outside the box, right? Problem solving using creativity is how we used to say it. But, that said, there's a lot of cool stuff on the way in the kind of the Azure and the crossover space between. So the more Azure focused Azure Monitor and the expansion of all of the IoT and the data centers is really big. And one of the things that we've been hearing a lot about is Microsoft's sustainability. So all of the new data centers that are currently in development and in build, really, physically, around the world, we've got Denmark, I think Sweden, Chile was announced last week. And
Mexico.
Yeah, and I heard rumblings of a US West 3. Yeah. So now that's unofficial. There hasn't been anything I've seen published on a Microsoft site. That was just rumors and a bunch of baloney. That all the
may or may not have had something to do with training that I'm taking right now.
Exactly. So there's a lot of excitement, right? But one of the things that Microsoft has been really committed with, and this is one of the things I look forward to, as you know, I like to spend a lot of time in backcountry and outdoors. And it's interesting because when I moved out west to Alberta, I think about 6 years ago now, I really learned, total crash course about the oil and gas industry. And I was shocked at how clean everything actually is. Like if you drive up in northern Alberta, and believe me, I did, up Fort Mac and around in there, and Grand Prairie area as well. It's impeccably beautiful. Like it's what's referred to as God's country.
Oh, the Peace River country, around Peace River, it's just absolutely gorgeous out there. The Creek, Blair, high level, just absolute gorgeous country.
Even if we go down south, kind of following the mountain, the Rocky Mountain Range into southern Alberta, down towards Lethbridge area and even over a bit more west, we've got just a beautiful area, but there's a lot of natural gas wells. There's a lot of old coal seams, coal mines and things like that, but it's all very clean. And I was really surprised by that because that's not the reputation that a lot of media stories have you kind of read into. And I don't want to go down the whole kind of political, environmental thing here. But the reason that I talk about that is because Microsoft has absolutely set themselves a very top tier goal and said, you know what, we're not only going to be sustainable, we're going to be carbon neutral as an entire company. Yeah. And I think 2025 was the target that sticks in my mind. That might be wrong, so forgive me, big wide world, if I have my dates mixed up. But that said, every new data center they're making is actually 100% renewable energy. And that is a big deal. So that, for me, that's really cool because it helps keep everything clean the way it is now. And I love that. So I really look forward to like a Canada West region being announced in the future. I've got fingers and toes and legs and everything crossed here, really hoping for Canada West. So yeah, there's a lot of good things though, right? So there's so many positive things on the horizon. And the way that Microsoft is supporting everybody working remotely, there's a lot of programs that are in place that I've seen through the different partners that I work with in IT. And Microsoft is really doing a lot to fund small and medium business getting in the cloud, getting their feet in, making sure their employees can work from home and stay safe. And that's what I think is really cool about 2021. Is there's this focus on renewability, a focus on safety, and a focus on agility. Yeah. And I'm absolutely loving it. I'm kind of excited.
And it creates, it creates that good circle, right? You get the people enabled, you get, these companies using the cloud services that are hosted in data centers using renewable energy, which is then offsetting the old companies' data centers, which probably weren't as environmentally conscious as the Microsoft ones, and then this momentum just keeps building and building, and it's a win-win for you and I because we like to breathe clean air, we like to spend time outside, but by the same token, we also like to work with this technology, and we like to see it grow so that there's more work for us to do and more exciting things for us to do and more companies for us to assist.
And I've noticed in the last kind of 2 years, what I actually work with is quite a bit different now. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the work that even you and I had to do kind of manually migrating VMs. Those are things of the past. Azure Migrate now is a tool beyond my wildest dreams when compared to when it first came out.
Well, if you think about it, 3 years ago, you weren't using Azure Migrate. You were probably using something made by Platespin, right? Platespin Migrate or something like that. And and I've done it myself, migrating virtual workloads between like VMware and Hyper-V, for instance, right? But for Microsoft to offer a tool such as Azure Migrate, and you and I have both been exposed to it long enough that we've seen it grow and mature to what the tool is today, which it's a lights out, amazing tool with capabilities of moving those workloads. And it's, you have to put a little bit of thought into it and a little bit of architectural, standards around it to right size the machine.
Absolutely. So we talk about that, you and I, we talk about that offline quite a bit, right? How one of the cool things about our work is we get called in to kind of fix broken things, which, from the company's perspective can be a bit of a bummer. But for us, it's kind of exciting because it's this big challenge. There's some urgency. Things need to get under control. Something's not right. And that's why we show up typically, right?
Oh, yeah.
But, we're kind of the doctors of IT is how I like to kind of talk to people about it. It's, you think HR, doctors, nurses, the dentist, you don't always go because you're feeling your best, right? Yeah. You quite often go because there's something wrong. And really, that's why you come to IT internally in a company, at least. It's a little different in the consulting world, but not really that different. Trust us, right? Yeah. But in this kind of a case, we get to come in and we get to do some fun things. We get to assess. But it's really important when you're using tooling, and Azure Migrate is freaking awesome because it's free. It's just part of the services offered in your Azure tenant when you have a subscription, which, by the way, you can get a free subscription and use Azure Migrate 100% for free and move some workloads into the cloud, test it out, decide you love it, stay, decide you don't love it, don't stay.
And your free subscription gets you free support up to a certain level. I know that. I'm learning that.
Absolutely. See, we've got an advantage of the young man brushing up on his skills. I love it. See, It keeps us sharp, right? Yeah, so that's something we should maybe do a separate podcast about, is let's talk about the importance of certifications. I haven't done anything about that for about a year. And I think it would be good to kind of renew that, much the same way we have to renew our certs. We have to talk about the new way of certification. So there's been some big changes since I did my last chat about it. And that would be really cool. Actually, let's put a pin in that one. Let's do that. And but moving on.
And then looking forward, it's just very apropos because I think the year 2021, as you said, is that sort of refresh and revitalize, which in and of itself applies to, one's educational endeavors as well, is to, look at new things and try new things because, hey, we've had a good run in 2020. We're coming out of things, and 2021 is going to be exciting. So you know what? Why not put your neck out and try something new and learn something new and have a little bit of fun with it, right? And that's
absolutely. What I'm. So what's for me? I think I'm really looking forward to not only the new data center regions, the new Azure regions coming in, but I'm looking forward to a lot of the positive changes around identity and security. In 2020, Microsoft moved to do a lot of kind of unification. And as you know, under the Azure Active Directory Blade, we can do a lot more now. And we have better controls over guest accounts. Yeah. So it makes it easier for businesses to manage, guys like us, external vendors, but also other business partners, the B2B and the B2C portions of Azure AD, which get a very specific focus for clients who want to hear about it, but there's not a lot of kind of general discussion about B2B and B2C. It isn't as just kind of easy as your average identity situation, so I think maybe that's part of it. But I look forward to them flattening the complexities a little bit, and I want to see how it turns out. So, definitely by, the end of this year, we'll do a 2021 wrap up, I'm sure.
Hawaiian shirts are required.
Yeah, and I'm going to see the adult beverage can coming a mile away this time. So, yeah.
I have to raise the game.
My hands above the sheets there, buddy.
To raise the game a little bit. Yeah.
But I think we have a lot to look forward to this year. And I'm really excited about it. There's a lot of positive energy. And I think in general, in our industry, people are starting to feel more positive. Things are happening. It's the typical calendar year has rolled over. Things are starting to move ahead now. New projects beginning, new beginnings, all that. Yeah. But also people, I think, are feeling like they're ready to dig in and move on. And I love that. I think that really speaks a lot about all the people that work in our industries and all the companies and the clients that we've been working with lately too. Everybody's just got a really great attitude, and I've been loving it. So what are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward again to this renewal, this renewed focus on just, rolling up your sleeves and getting stuff done. For me, personally, I'm looking forward to expanding or, going back and relearning some things. And through the process of relearning, and again, we'll talk about that in some certification, but through the process of relearning, I'm actually learning new stuff, which is exciting. I'm looking forward to the expansion of cloud computing. I think it has in 2020 proven its worth, proven its mettle, if you will. And I'm looking forward to seeing what these CSPs, cloud service providers, are going to implement this year. And this is across the board, whether it's from Amazon or GCP or IBM. I really want to see what they're going to do to innovate, because that innovation, by one drives innovations, by the others. I'm really excited to see all the new data centers that have been announced, the new regions that have been announced by Microsoft. I too, like you, am holding out for a Canada West data center. It could be in.
We're going to hold our breath until it happens. So
it could be in. It could be in Calgary. That wouldn't, there wouldn't be any problems with that. That'd be kind of cool to have. And number 3 is I'm really looking forward to see what Microsoft is going to do to make Teams even better than it already is in 2021. And the point is to be as important as an operating system in a web browser. I'm very much looking forward to that.
I think that's going to be actually really awesome. As you know, we do our meetings and our recordings on all Microsoft technologies as well. So we're using Teams tonight. And and we're not immune to the problems of the public. So we
know.
did battle a little bit with some ups and downs of the day, but we made it through, and here we are. So I think it speaks a lot to the stability overall of the platform. And like a good car, once in a while it has to go in the shop and it has a little hiccup, but you know what? You wake up the next day and it's good to go. So
Got it.
I'm going to cross my fingers and say, we were able to get through the meeting here, and everything else is working good. So let's revisit, and maybe halfway through the year or something, sometime in the summertime when it's beautiful and sunny, and I'm thinking about the mountains again. Let's do kind of a mid-year check-in and see how we're doing with everything. So we'll talk a little bit about teams. We'll talk a little bit about data centers and region progression. And we'll talk a bit about that crossover, the beautiful spot of Azure Active Directory and security and identity. So Ryan, tell us all how we can find you a little bit more online if we want to know more about you and what you're working on.
Sure, I can be found on LinkedIn and SoundCloud at Microsoft Cloud Quick Fix. I can be found on Twitter at @MSCQF. And eventually there'll be a website. We'll get there. But that's where you'll find most of my information. Yeah, touche. As an aside, I learned how to create a WordPress web app the other day for the first time in 3 years. I created one, so you never know.
Excellent. Yes, and as I sit here making faces at Ryan, I know full well when I do my video edit that my face won't be shown on the video, but just my voice. So there's the industry secret. So you can find me at www.azuretracks.com. And on all of the medias at AzureTracks. And Ryan and I are both on YouTube, Twitter, and SoundCloud. I'm also on Facebook. We're both on LinkedIn, of course, as well. I'm on the Facebook thing. And when we do our occasional live episodes, we are also on Twitch as at AzureTracks. So we'll do another live episode soon enough. Maybe we'll do our next one as a quick live one.
Sure.
We'll talk maybe about certifications. Maybe we'll talk about some other stuff. So we have some neat things in our discussion pad this year, like conditional access and Microsoft Defender. We're going to kind of dig down that hole. That's going to be a multi-parter for sure, both of those.
Bring your popcorn.
And one of the things that we often like to defer, but I think we should talk about 365 licenses. Quite often, now that's not a big crossover area, that's going to be a 365 oriented chat. So we'll also provide some balance for those things. But that said, thank you so much for listening. And again, check in with us on YouTube. Leave a couple of likes and let us know what you're thinking. Feel free to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you want to get some alerts. And congratulations, Ryan, on all of your new learning you've been doing. And we're going to take advantage of that in our next little video podcast. We'll talk about certifications. So join us as we learn more about what Ryan is learning.
Or trying to learn, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you for joining us.